Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There's no doubt that this ummah is an ummah that's characterized by enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. And there's no doubt that the human being is inclined to truth and justice. When the person's spirit has been contaminated. But when we become people that are influenced by different forces, that inclination towards justice and truth sometimes becomes a way that we force ourselves on others. As Muslims, more specifically, there's no doubt that we have the obligation of correcting rights if we have the ability. But when we look at the hadith of Dinun Nasiha, the complicated word Nasiha, which oftentimes is translated as to that the deen is sincerity, that hadith overall, Nasiha is translated as sincerity, it really doesn't capture the meaning. The word Nasiha means good counsel, well-wishing, wanting good for others. And so we can't contradict ourselves. If we want good for others, if we truly want good for others, if we want to enjoy what is good, then we can't do it in a way which is destructive. And many times this is where we go wrong, especially when it comes to enjoining a point of Islamic practice, or correcting someone's belief, or even making a point to someone about their faults. If we're destroying our relationship with the person, if we're humiliating the person, if we're emotionally harming the person, abusing the person, then what is the goal of attempting to enjoy good when what we're doing in fact is harm? We have to be careful how we speak to one another. We're held accountable for our tongues, and many a times our words and our speech is more destructive than anything. It comes as a sword that pierces into the hearts of others, and we see it in their facial expressions. We see it in how they take the blow. Our words definitely can hurt. The idea of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me, is one of the most irresponsible sayings that this culture can have, because it means that we can speak to each other in the most degrading, humiliating ways, and the other person is supposed to accept that abuse. It brings no accountability to us in how it is that we engage each other. We all know that words, especially those of love and kindness, they reach the heart. And unfortunately, many of us have become cold like rocks, so that we, because of life blows, we think that it's okay to continue to perpetuate the hurt that we feel in different ways, and especially in the way that we speak to each other. We feel that speaking whatever we want to say is the truth. It's okay, even if it is that it hurts other people. Keeping it real is what they say, but they were never real in loving you. And that's part of the dilemma that we have in how it is that we deal with each other. If we want to be able to correct one another truly, then we have to show that we care for one another. We have to show that we love one another. And then when it's time to correct each other, it becomes more easy. The Prophet ﷺ, in the beginning of the da'wah, encouraged the people. The Quran itself was of that modality. The Quran was inspiring and encouraging. And many of us, we like to hear inspiring talk. Many of us like to hear speeches that uplift us. We don't like to listen to problems, or we don't like to identify issues or criticisms. But we forget that when we are engaging each other on a personal level, we forget the idea of inspiration. We forget the idea of encouraging. We forget the idea of embracing each other with compassion. And so it's not a criticism of anyone, but it's a criticism of our practices. And we find in this time of Ramadan, many people, as they come back to our communities to practice, if we speak harshly to them, because maybe they may not practice in the way that the community is practicing, or maybe they may do or say something that's problematic, you have to realize we may be pushing them away. We may be that final word that becomes the needle that breaks the camel's back. We may be that word that pushes someone right outside of Islam. And that is the unfortunate part. Or we may even be that word which pushes someone to not think that life is worth living anymore. So words have weight, people. Words have weight. And so if we really are sincere in our advising of each other, then we should wish well for each other. And like Malcolm said, don't be so quick to judge or criticize someone because you at one time may have been in that position. And now you change and you forget what it's like. And that's something that we gather from the teachings of Malcolm. Like, we have to be careful when we criticize each other. We have to be careful that we don't judge each other and push them under. We should be uplifting each other as much as possible. And that truly is a task. It's truly difficult. Human interaction is one of the most difficult things, especially when we fail in character. Assalamu alaikum.